My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 17th, 2026. We'll try that one at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I use in my own day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies that I personally guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they can have worked for me. They continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into things, let's kill that. Okay. Before I get into it, let's tip our hat to Storm. He is the primary moderator that hides in the background, not well, but he stays there to make sure tech continues to work. And he makes sure that any problem children are removed before they become a problem. And rest assured, if you are one and you find yourself outside the chat room, the odds are what you've done is stepped over the line on the guidelines for this room, or you just ignore their list at the top of the chat room, and they constantly scroll across the bottom of the screen. So if you find yourself outside, well, you overstepped. Okay, but rest assured, you will be able to come back in the next day, providing you stay following the proper lines. Now, here's the kicker. Sooner or later, you're going to overstep too often if that's your intent. And at that point, you can bet the storm will remove you permanently. Now, we have Kira Avian. Now, Kira Avian is one of our moderators. She also happens to be my wife, my executive assistant, editor-in-chief, and, quite frankly, she's a professional flutist just to make matters more entertaining. She's also one of the members of my board of advisors. Now, that said, today we are looking at humans according to the Consortium. And some of you will like this. Some of you are going to look at me going, where did you come up with that? Well, I came up with it by talking to the Consortium people. Seemed like the best way to do it. But before we go any further, we have Mike Jones in the house. Mike, you're in with the gold. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And then we slide down and we have Sherry. Sherry, welcome aboard. Sherry is a newcomer to this area. So welcome aboard. Absolutely. If you've got any questions, if you've got anything you'd like an answer to, absolutely put the questions in the chat room in all caps. That way I can find them.
Oh, there's Renee.
And Renee, you made it. You're in with the bronze. How you doing, Renee? Glad you could join us. I know things have been big hectic around the world for you, but hopefully they've come into a little bit more of a balance. And there is Eternity Eternal in with the honorable mention. I know you're in here a lot, Eternity. It's nice seeing you get in here first thing. Now, we are looking at humans. What does the Consortium think of us? I keep getting asked by people, why aren't we a member of the Consortium? Well, you're going to love me. No, you won't. You're not going to like the answer in all likelihood. But the reason that the human species has not been made an active member of the Consortium is because of one qualifying factor. Okay, every member species of the Consortium has the same quality. They have a one world government. This does not mean a dictatorship. Okay. And that was just terrible. Thing of dictatorship, also known as bad potatoes. But that's another issue altogether. Yes, that was terrible. But, number one, humans, yes, there are different races. Took me a long time to figure that one out. There are different races of you. But a one world government is something that everybody works towards the same idea. There are no people better than the next. Okay, so of course the Consortium looks at humans going, you're children, and you haven't figured out that working together that actually paying attention to each other and treating each other equally is better for the entire species and the entire civilization. Until mankind has the majority of people doing that, they will not become members of the consortium, but they are, and this is a protected planet, not a quarantined planet, people. Okay, yes, there are members of the consortium that look at it going, we should just seal the doors and put them in and make it just one big observational zoo. Okay, because the reality of it is this: from their standpoint, humans are first and foremost, they lack self-control. They are extremely creative and volatile as a nuclear bomb. And rest assured, that's not the worst type of bomb that's out there. So they look at it going, you guys, then there are individuals that the consortium will deal with. And some of you, like, I'm not the only one out there, but they look at humans going, you guys are on, you've got the same argument going on that so many other species have had. Okay, you right now are standing at a beautiful precipice. And when you look at xenosocioeconomic evolution, the consortium looks at humans going, okay, they've reached this place. One, two, that I can think of right off the top of my head, 3 times before. Okay, 4. They reached the point where they could have made a break and either wiped themselves out or simply set themselves back. Prime example, the Egyptians, under the guidance of the Ennead, okay, managed to make remarkable headway. Something most people don't realize about the hieroglyphs in the pyramids. Okay, they had a complete energetic network, okay, linking the pyramids. And good luck getting people to acknowledge that one. Okay, but according to the consortium, humans have a overall tendency of squandering opportunity. Okay, they don't follow, they do not even stand by their own word on the whole. And this makes them inadmissible to the consortium because the amount of damage that can do is insane. Okay, but they reached a decent peak with the Egyptians. With the Greeks, they did it again. Okay, and then things went sideways. Okay, I've got a video out on the Atlanteans. Now understand, the Atlanteans they did not evolve on Earth. Okay, but they had offered all kinds of opportunity to humans who turned around and decided to try and take it. That didn't work out well. Okay, it actually ended up destroying an entire civilization. And now we are here again, where mankind has the capacity to get off this planet en masse. Okay, and they do have certain things in place, but here's the thing. The consortium is waiting to see whether or not humans can actually figure out that just because you're on one part of the world doesn't make you better than somebody else on the other part of the world. Okay, you got to remember, all corporeals have the same desire. They desire to be heard, not just listened to, paid attention to. They desire security over their, in their own life. They desire the right to have an opinion. And across the world, and this is why I don't pick on one race or one country. Across the world, I see these things being countermanded. Not the least of which is when you look at the spiritual leaders, and I do mean the spiritual leaders from mainstream religion of all the forms, the old religions, the so-called pagan religions, and many different belief structures, where they say we work together. The evidence, according to the consortium, is extremely contradictory. But let's get something straight. Earth is, number one, not quarantined, and the consortium has no interest in quarantining it. Okay, and for those of you that think it's a quarantine planet, those same people that tell us it's quarantined are the same ones I keep getting told by that humans are getting abducted. Now, this is either the worst quarantine job in existence, or the place is in quarantine. Because I mean, let's face it, we got high security prisons here, and people are not taken out of high security prisons if the security is there, unless it's arranged, and therefore it's no longer a prison. I've had people tell me that Earth is a prison colony. Well, it's a cute thought, but think about it. If it were a prison colony, would they not have more than one species on the planet? More than one dominant species? These are just some of the things that humans go, oh, we're going to take this piece of truth and we're going to apply it to all of this other stuff, but we'll totally ignore the majority of it. And this is why the consortium looks at humans going, yeah, you got off the planet. You've managed to travel through your solar system, but you don't know the first thing about negotiating with another race. And yet humans on the whole seem to think they are better than the off-worlders. The reality is, off-worlders have gone through what you're going through. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why the consortium looks at humans going, guys, you gotta learn to listen. Okay. One of the important little factors that we have to realize is humans are evolving. Okay. And yeah, for those of you that look at it and go, humans were created, I'm gonna pop a neat little bubble in there just for something to think about. Okay. Humans started off on Earth. Okay. They were built here. They did evolve here, but they did have a boost. Okay. And I can explain that in a whole lot greater detail, but the important factor for the consortium is, yes, some humans for some species do work well as pets in a zoo. Okay. They're literally, they look at them going, they're hairless apes, dumber than fence posts, but they're a lot of fun to watch as they try and work their way through a problem. Okay. It's not that the consortium looks down on humans. Some of the consortium species have no choice but to look down. Take a look at the Anunnaki. Now, the Anunnaki evolved on Earth and then asked for assistance to get off it. Okay, because they knew they wouldn't be able to interact with humans well, at least not for long. And for those of you that wonder about that, take a look at the different archaeological sites that people are finding 30-foot skeletons in. These are Anunnaki. Okay. And the neat part about it is, I know some of you are going, oh no, those can't be, those aren't real. They're just mock-ups. They're CGI. Guys, when they found them in the first place, they didn't have CGI. Unless you know how somebody could pull a CGI on them, black and white. Okay. But the consortium looks at humans going, they're volatile as get out. They are dangerous in as much as they've got a curiosity streak that is absolutely deadly. And every single human alive is capable of manipulating what humans call 0-point energy. Okay, thereby literally modifying reality. I know some of you will look at that going, that's not possible. There's a lot of things that people tell me are not possible. Okay, I've been told, I find it fascinating because my own father told me that my memories are absolutely on the money. Okay, I just find it kind of comical that a lot of my close friends I burned at the stake 400 years ago. I'm not quite certain how I got that turned around, but what the heck. But the consortium does track past lives. Okay, They believe wholeheartedly in them. I don't know if you believe in past lives, and honestly, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me. The reality is that when you look at the consortium, they go, here's a planet that has phenomenal potential. We know this because the Mobians who colonized Mobius, a planet on the other side of the sun, in the exact same orbit as Earth, came from Earth. And 50,000 years ago, they colonized Mobius. Okay, that's where they are. Humans can do the same thing. Some of you have figured out how to heal by touch, how to manipulate energy, how to read energy like there's no tomorrow. And yes, many of you use different tools. Okay, I've talked to you in the past about things like energy work, what you know is Reiki, or what you may know is Reiki, reading tarot, reading stones, reading bones, you name it. Okay, all of these things speak to you if you listen. And the thing with the consortium is they know humans can do this. And they sit there going, thank heavens humans haven't figured out that they can do it. Okay, humans spend so much time cowering in fear. The consortium looks at it going, well, this buys us a little time. Now, bear in mind, we are talking about species that are thousands of years old. Yeah, Sherry here, she goes, well, you taught me. The thing is, everybody can do it. And yes, I am getting set to teach people again. Sherry has come an incredible way a distance from when I met her in the first place. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how long ago I met her. I know it was probably 20, maybe 30 years ago at this point. But, the reality is this is why I deal with the number of species I do. Some of my best friends are not even they're not even human. Okay. And the ones that are human aren't necessarily stable by human definition. One of the things we have to look at when you look at the consortium, when you look at the consortium, ask yourself this. People come to me, well, why won't they come and talk to me? Ask yourself, do you instinctively treat, or even by conscious effort, treat everybody from every race you meet? Okay, do you treat them as equals? And when I say every race, I am referring to humans of whatever color they are, animals, plants, minerals, even energies. Do you treat them as equals? This is the one benefit that I've got that I know of, that I can unequivocally go, this is the way I look at the world. I get along better with canines than I do hominids most of the time. And to think I used to be afraid of dogs. But the consortium looks at it going, we would love to include these people, this evolving race. And yeah, bad news, guys, you're not the top of the totem pole. Okay, which is probably a good thing because the bottom of the totem pole is actually the place to be. But humans have a lot of things backwards. And the reality of it is this. When you're looking at the consortium, they look at humans going, okay, think about how you treat each other and ask one question. If you treat others like that, of your own species, why would we bring you up here and show you anything new? Exile, how you doing? Glad you could join us. There we go. Exile is going, it's natural law that our personal and collective power is equivalent to our capacity for empathy and to think therapeutically. Absolutely. The moment you believe that you can do something and you take it to heart. Okay, I've got a simple saying I live by. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. This is why, after so many times dead, I keep getting shipped back. And I'm dang certain part of that is because the off-worlders are not interested in me dying just yet. Understand, I have these same kinds of conversations with them. Okay, many of them are still a little backwards. I remember one event where I was dealing with Strazazians, 7.5, 8.5 foot reptilians. Okay, and I had this one guy come up to me. I couldn't blame him looking down on me. Bearing in mind, I'm a pacifist. Okay, I will talk my way out of whatever I can get away with. But off-world, it's a different set of rules. This guy looks down on me. He goes, "Why should I pay attention to a simple Solarian in matters of war?" And a split second later, two of his buddies caught his arms and looked at me and went, "Don't worry, we'll explain it to him when he gets up and when he wakes up in the infirmary." The reality is, I'm not violent. Okay, many of the species of the Consortium will quite happily, and I do mean this literally, eat you while they're shaking your hand. Okay, they look at humans as very fragile, really egocentric, and extremely short-sighted. Now, of course, when you look at the reticulans, what you know as grays, these are the people that look at you and go, yeah, they're naive as all get out, but they are the easiest species to work with for the hybridization program, because they're easy to repair, easy to revive, and if you do make a mistake, they don't even notice. This is why you end up with mental overlays. So yeah, they look at you. They are both concerned. Like quite a lot of them, especially the ones that are not educated to start with, do fear humans. Okay, humans are, to put it politely, a tad unpredictable. Except they get really panicky and really aggressive when they're told they can't do something. I mean, I watched a guy that got absolutely livid that he was not allowed to go outside on the Strazazian homeworld. This was great. They tried to talk him out of it. He forced the issue and got outside without a protective suit. Now, me being the individual I am, I just watched him go because I knew it was out there. So he goes outside, and right now, he's stripped to the bone. Okay, they've got sandstorms that will peel a human to a bone faster than a school of piranha. Okay, part of that has to do with some of the animals in the sandstorms. But here's the thing you got to realize. Humans have this brilliant idea, and the Consortium just stands there shaking their head going, and they want access to higher weaponry? They don't even know how to handle their own weaponry properly. But the Consortium has a very simple law. Do not turn higher power weapons over to the humans. Humans are dangerous. And if they don't kill themselves, they're certain to kill somebody else by accident. Okay. And humans with their curiosity streak, they won't even let them get near computers on the whole. Like on their computers. Primarily because humans don't listen to warnings. Even the simplest warnings. Okay, and I am talking on the whole, so if this doesn't apply to you, don't take it on. I know I keep telling people that, and then they turn around and ignore it. It's amazing how many people will stand there and go, "I'm not like that." And the moment you give them an opportunity, they stick their foot in their mouth all the way to the hip. One of the things we have to realize is the Consortium is waiting to see whether mankind unifies, especially at the current political setup, whether they unify and start actually working together, or whether humans are going to blow yourselves back to the Stone Age again. Because think of it, all it's going to take is one real nasty EMP pulse or one nasty virus. And 90% of knowledge humans have accumulated is gone. I don't know if there are any humans alive today that actually know how to smelt iron from from stone using fire. And that's where it started. So if there aren't any, guess what? We're going to lose a lot of ground. But the consortium is patient. It's been around for literally millions of years. Well, in all fairness, it's been around for billions. Okay. It was around, it came into existence shortly after what you know as the original Big Bang. Of course, understand the original Big Bang was so far back in history that most of you have never even considered it. I mean, let's face it, the Big Bang from this, for this rendition of life was billions of years ago. Okay, it's happened multiple times. But the consortium takes a look at humans going, well, some of you got the message. And sooner or later that will evolve. Okay. Those of you that are actually living by karmic law and are learning about the limits of what you can do, and not only what you can do, but what it is wise to do, because there are a few of you out there that are doing this, we have a shot. We've got the opportunity to set the ball rolling. That's what we're doing here on Positive Perceptions. Okay, I'm not perfect. Lord knows I'm not perfect. But I've seen enough to acknowledge I'm not perfect. And as Joe Stewart put it a couple of years back, I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. Okay, what we have to realize, and this is what the consortium is watching, is the general population figuring out that their leaders are not the ones that should be and that are actually controlling the world. Okay, you've been taught that the leaders are doing this. The reality is they're not. Okay, you think about it. They are controlling the world because you're letting them. It's that simple. And the consortium knows this. But understand, when we're talking about a one world government, the consortium already knows, and some humans have figured it out. If you happen to live in the Arctic, you have no clue of the challenges of living on the plains. Okay, and if you're living in a jungle, a desert is not going to help you a whole lot. Okay, this is why it takes communication, something that mankind has been taught to ignore. Okay, and yes, we can absolutely communicate with off-worlders. Problem is, most of you don't know what the cultural impact is. And this is where the reticulans came up with the hybridization program. Because the humans are being watched and going, okay, right now, humanity, the species humans, is behaving like a virus. Now, if you know you've got a virus, are you going to let it get out of hand if you can avoid it? This is why I say Earth is protected, as in people are not allowed to come in and just take humans and go wherever they will. There were treaties made, absolutely. But considering the human leaders broke every one of those treaties, the consortium now sits there going, okay, you're trying to do research and you're looking into this and you're this talking to other members of the consortium. The council will look at them going, okay, you've got these experiments you'd like to do to understand what humans are and what they're capable of. Go have happy. Okay, there are limits to what can be done. One of the stipulations is, in order to do that, you've got to be able to, overlay a memory so that they disrupt human life as much as possible. They disrupt it as best they can. This is why many of you will have dreams where all you remember is the big eyes of an owl or maybe a deer. It's because they are very similar in configuration. By the way, the squid also has a phenomenal similarity in optical configuration. Now, what we got to remember here is the consortium will talk to certain ones of you. Okay. But I will tell you, and I've talked to people saying, oh, I'm in touch with them, and this is what they're telling me. They're getting ready for war. They are not getting ready for war. I mean, you think about it. Okay. And this is the big issue. Okay. When you take a look at the consortium, why would you possibly wipe out a planet with a species that is no more significant to them than a hyperactive ant with a guilt complex? Okay, there's just no point to it. Besides that, and I laid this out years ago, I think, about the way an interstellar war would happen against humans. And by the way, brilliant idea. I love science fiction movies that show humans beating back aliens. I've also seen the side effect of what really happens. And rest assured, the humans don't fare well. Okay, but the consortium looks at humans going, well, they're 2-year-olds and 2-year-olds at best. And they're not learning. Mind you, you think about it, when you think about 2-year-olds, a human lives 70 years. At 2 years old, they don't amount to much. Okay. When you take a look at certain species, like the Laborians, they live approximately, in human terms, 350,000 years. Okay. Now here's the kicker. When you think about 2 years compared to 350,000, you're looking at somebody at the human race being something closer to about a day, maybe. Okay, and I haven't actually run the numbers. I know the calculations, I just haven't bothered running them. But the consortium looks at humans as very unruly children that are extremely temperamental. Okay, but they are willing to help those of you that are willing to listen. And this is one of the reasons why, with your guys' encouragement, we are still putting on positive perceptions, and we're relaunching positive perspectives. Because, and no, I am not better than any of you. Well, I'm better at some things. If we talk about taking things directly, like a little too literally, I probably got down to a fine art. But the consortium, when you think of it, looks at things in a real cute fashion. They look at it going, okay, you think you're this good. It's great to think that. Okay, but there is a saying that humans came up with that is brilliant. It is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. When you're talking to each other, if you're going to say something, make sure you back it up. Okay, otherwise it's just hot air. Off-worlders and ancient races alike look at the way humans talk and how humans, on the whole, go, we're strong enough, we're going to defend our planet against anything. This is a great thought. Okay, you think about it though, that I'm aware of, Earth has one accelerator cannon. Okay, and an accelerator cannon, if you know anything about weaponry, or about equipment for that matter, an accelerator cannon is a really devastating weapon. Problem is, it is a landlocked weapon. Now, off-worlders and the off-worlders have accelerator cannons that they can aim, that don't wait for the planet to change position. Okay, so off-worlders do see the human species as extremely egocentric. Politely put, they're full of themselves with no viable reason. Okay, and ultimately that is the biggest problem. You've got to, according to the consortium, humans, individuals, and some of you have done this, you've realized that, the world doesn't work quite the way for you that it does for everybody else. But you've turned around and figured out that by paying attention, you can actually change the path your life is on. This is what we are working on. Okay. And absolutely, when you think about it, if you make the effort, little changes happen. If you don't make the effort, sorry, you're stuck where you are. Now, I can tell you at almost 63 years, I made some pretty severe mistakes. Okay. But I can also tell you what those mistakes were. And I'm not going to look at you and go, it's your fault I messed up. I mean, realistically, I know for a certainty, at least I shouldn't say I know for a certainty, but it's a pretty good bet and I'm just going to pick on you, Eternity. It's a pretty good bet we've never met face to face. Okay. Primarily because I barely leave my house. Well, I leave it to go to the grocery store and to one restaurant. And that's pretty much where it ends. Okay. But the reality is you can bet your bottom dollar that when you start treating each other as equals, okay, and not equals in every capacity. Some of you are better artists. Some of you are more technologically advanced. I don't know if it's possible to be more direct than I am without being downright rude. And I cut it pretty close on occasion. I actually got told by a guy one day that I was awfully rude, and I immediately looked at him and went, dang, I thought I was getting good at it. Apparently that was not the right thing to say. I'm not quite certain why not, but, he didn't seem to like the response. One thing you got to remember with the Consortium is they take into consideration all of the idiosyncrasies of various races. And yes, there are places where they go, this species cannot go in there. Of course, the various races, you tell them you can't go in there. Most of them will look at you and go, at best, what's the holdup? And when it's explained, they'll turn around and go somewhere else. Humans have this curiosity streak that is downright fatal. You tell a human you can't go outside on the Strazazian homeworld, somebody's going to push the button or push the limits and rush outside. And I will tell you this, on their homeworld, just like on the reticulan homeworld, you go outside without proper protection, you're not coming back in. And it's not that they'll lock the door. It's that you're dead. Okay? And by the way, I hate to tell you this, but death is only the beginning. Rest assured, I'm dead serious, pardon the unintended pun, but I'm speaking from experience. For me, it's an inconvenience. For most of you, dead is dead, and this is just not where you're going to end up having much more fun. I know when I talk about being inconvenient, people look at me going, well, how can that be inconvenient? Well, I have to regenerate things, which does sadly take time. But the Consortium sees humans very much like lemmings, like Terran lemmings. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Terran lemmings, once every 4 years, okay, their primary food goes toxic. Now, I want you to pay attention to this neat little thing. Once every 4 years, the food goes toxic, and the lemmings all rush en masse off a cliff. Okay, you get the occasional one that'll be running with them, all of a sudden stand up and go, this is wrong, and run sideways across the current. Okay, consider every 4 years. And now, I don't know about the rest of the world. I know in Canada and the United States, every 4 years, the world goes to heck in a handbasket, and a bunch of lemmings run off the cliff going, oops, what are we doing? The survivors have to pick up the mess. It might be time to start following the people that seem to be a little off kilter. Because the ones that are leading right now, the Consortium's looking at them going, so which fire are they going to run into? We got a reactor over there. We've got the algae bath over there. And by the way, the algae bath, that's a cesspool that you can get eaten in because the algae is carnivorous. There's a lot of different ways that the consortium is similar to the modern day version of the UN. Okay, of the Terran UN. So if you want to get a real clear idea on the consortium, on the layout of it, take a look at the footage for the UN, with one exception. In the Terran UN, there's a lot of screaming and arguing back and forth, and then it all settles down eventually. In the consortium, they still have the arguments, but it doesn't exactly settle down so much as they get tired of killing each other. Then they haul off the bodies, bring in a new set of senators and what have you, different names for the titles, and they go back to the bargaining table. But it does cut down on the amount of repeat offenses, at least by the individual. Because you got to remember, the consortium looks at humans going, you got the idea. Now run with it. Only humans keep tripping over themselves. Okay? So, I kid you not, the consortium does use Earth as a bit of a gambling pit. And they will watch individuals, and they will bet on individuals quite readily on whether they're going to do something absolutely insane or whether they're going to learn from their mistake. And yes, this does mean that Earth is viewed very much in certain circles as a sitcom. Okay? I know some of you look at the way humans are and you're going, oh Lord, you didn't just do that. Okay? It's amazing how many people in the consortium look at humans going, why? They just don't understand them. And in all fairness, can you blame them? Humans are the one species, and this is what worries a lot of the people in the consortium. Humans are the one species they've run into that can take a totally logical path and look at it, go, I'm not doing that. Pick the worst option possible and still land on their feet. Okay? As the saying goes, the consortium, many of them look at humans and go, you got the luck of the gods. And it's one of these things we have to start looking at our own life first. Never mind the rest of the world. Look in your own backyard. Look in your own house. Is what you are doing, is that making your life better? Are you treating people the way you desire to be treated? With the consortium, they're simple. You don't treat them with respect, half of them will kill you on the spot. Okay? And yeah, I know that sounds really violent. And in all fairness, it really is. But you got to realize they both fear humans and laugh at them. Okay? Primarily because humans do not learn quickly. This is just a blatant obvious statement from the consortium standpoint. But the consortium will not hand over military-grade weaponry, or weaponry of any form for that matter. The closest they come is the less dangerous things, i.e., oh look, we've got a fusion reactor. Yes, it works for us. We're not going to show you the schematics on how it works. We will explain to you it will take all of this physical matter and commute it into energy. You figure out how it works. Because if you don't know how it works inside out, you're going to blow yourself up with it. This has happened multiple times. Jeff, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust your day has been going well. One of the biggest things that we have to look at, okay, and I got thinking about it. Many of you absolutely have different skills. Okay, the consortium watches for these. I've got a capacity to accept anybody at face value. Okay, and I shouldn't really say at face value, but I treat everybody the same way. And those of you that know me directly know I don't play favorites. Okay. There are people that mean more to me than others. Absolutely. Not the least of which, and you get to figure out why. My kids and my wife. But aside from that, people, I treat everybody the same. Some of you are technological geniuses. Okay. I figure if I can spell the word technological, I'm doing well. And that one I don't have a problem with. I can even spell the word genius. Okay. I know people that spell the word genius M-E. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate well. And Will, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it is with the human ego, it is amazing how many people will look at themselves and go, I know exactly what I'm doing. And they'll literally tell me, I'll go and explain something. I know what you mean. And I'll go, okay, explain it. And they'll stand there looking at me going, oh, the reality is this. I do not say, I'm not better than anybody. I'm different. That's all. Okay. And the thing you have to realize, well, you don't have to, you can do what you will with it, is this. You ask me a question, I will give you an honest answer. I used to, until Kara pointed out, I used to tell people, you don't want that answer. And she brought it to my attention. It's not a case of you don't want the answer. It's a question of you're likely not to like it, especially if you're expecting me to give you a compliment for something that you did stupid. And by the way, I know I'm not supposed to say the word stupid. There's a lot of words that I cannot believe humans have gotten to the point of going, oh, you can't say that word. So I adhere to the guidelines as best I can that YouTube puts out because this is where I am. This is their house. But let me explain something regarding stupidity. And the off-worlders, they don't have any problem with it. They look at you going, if you're stupid, you're stupid. Nature will take care of it. Stupidity is simply this. True ignorance means for whatever reason you didn't figure it out. You didn't get the message. Stupidity means you got the message and ignored it. That's just the reality of it. One of the biggest things you got to remember with the consortium is if you ask to be a member, number one, you're human, in all likelihood. There's a few of you out there that aren't. Okay. But because you're human, you will not become a full member of the consortium because the species has to be taken on board, not the individual. But you may well make headway dealing with individuals. That doesn't make you a member of the consortium. It doesn't give you voting rights or anything else. Matter of fact, the reality is I don't vote. Okay. Of course, they don't want me voting. I'm not that special in all fairness, not in my eyes. But the consortium looks at humans and goes, if you're going to treat each other that way, and they will, watch how you treat the people around you. Because there's those of you going, I'd really like to meet an alien. The wise ones of you are going, I'd really like to meet an alien that isn't going to outright kill me. Okay. It's amazing how many humans will tell me, I'd really like to have an off-world experience. I don't care with whom. I'm thinking that's got to be a suicidal run. Like you're lemming in training or what? Okay. Some of these guys will literally eat you for a snack. And they don't even have the courtesy to kill you first. Okay. But the consortium looks at the human ego and goes, as you evolve, there are some of you that treat everybody equally. Okay. It does not mean you don't have a temper, by the way. Ultimately, Jeff, yes. See, here's the thing. There are only 3 laws that I encourage people to follow. Now, I will tell you, the laws that are written in the country you're in, or in the land in which you are, absolutely follow them. But they fall under the second law. The 3 laws I follow are: be true to yourself first. This does not mean you're better than anybody. It means you're being true to you first. 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, this is the golden rule that we're referring to. And 3, energy out, energy in. Meaning whatever you put your effort into, that's what you're going to get back. So if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. Okay, I love it when people ask me the question, where's my proof of all of this? Sorry guys, I deal in what you would potentially call theoretical evidence or logical extrapolation from available information. The proof I leave to other people. Okay, I don't require proof. I don't require being able to explain gravity to know it's going to hurt if I step off the balcony. Okay, and I'll tell you, I don't care who you vote for. You step off the balcony, gravity is still going to wipe you out. Okay, it's still going to make a mess. And in all fairness, the fall doesn't usually kill people. It's a sudden stop when you get to the ground floor that causes all the havoc. But the consortium knows this. And yes, there are members of the consortium. There are members of the consortium that will give you access to certain things. They won't give you access to weaponry. Well, why not? Because the members of the governing body of the consortium will terminate the individual that does it. If they find out it was cleared by somebody above them, that person will be done in as well. Only they're not done in this idea of you broke the law, now you're going to sit on death row for 30 years till you die of old age. If you're convicted, you're dead within the month at best. Okay, if you're a long-standing member of the consortium, you won't make it out of the courtroom.
Oh, it's Blue Cruz. Hello, Blue Cruz.
Blue, how you doing?
I can say I can talk. Blue Cruz.
Yes, I love that. I'm just thinking here, you got to have kids, because there was a kids movie on, kids series show on when I was growing up. Well, not when I was growing up, when my youngest son was growing up, called Blue's Clues.
Gotta love Blue's Clues. I used to watch it all the time with my sisters.
The nice thing about the consortium is they're very open, very welcoming people. Yes, many of the species and the individuals thereof are as arrogant as they get. Okay, but at least when they say, you do that again, I'm going to bite your head off. When you're dealing with a reptilian, I'll tell you, they'll rip your head off and they'll bite it off. Okay, the deciding factor here is they thrive on honesty. There are those that will bend the rules all over the place. Okay, so you got to realize it boils down to follow your word. Okay, if you're signing a contract, absolutely twist the daylights out of it any way you can. But once it is signed, stand by it. Okay, the consortium, literally, they've managed to find a way to have over 2,500 member species. Now, I've only documented just over 120 of them. Okay, but I'm working on more. Okay, I am, at the same time that's happening, I keep having to remind myself, get back in the saddle and get these books written. Because I die, all that information goes. But again, where are we here? Oh, holy mackerel, we are getting down there. Okay. Now, before we run completely out of time, let me just double check something here.
Oh, yeah, that was my bad. Sorry about that.
Where are we? Here we are. Now, today is the 17th, so tomorrow we are going to be dealing with the spirituality side of things, specifically language and its impact on mental health. Okay, we're going to look at a lot of things on that end. Then on Monday, we'll be dealing with rent or lease to own and 0% financing, the pros and cons. On Tuesday, we go back to self-help, and we're going to talk to you about how to deal with narcissists. And yes, in all fairness, a narcissist does go with the idea of, I am brilliant, and, God is spelled M-E. Okay, or genius is spelled M-E. Needless to say, a narcissist has a problem with their vocabulary. Most things revolve around M-E. Now, I know I'm not perfect. I'm still stunned that I got 700 people subscribed to my channel. I mean, I'm looking at this going, I've got to be one of the most off-kilter and not unbalanced individuals, but I certainly have my own way of looking at the world. How cold is it down there right now? They're Blue. I'm just curious at this point. But I am glad you're doing well. I take a look at it going, for me, I'm looking at in the 30s. It starts getting a little on the cold side, and I'm referring to Fahrenheit. But no, we will be back again tomorrow. I'll be back with a day in the office at 4 p.m. ish. I'll certainly be on air by 4 p.m. Drop in, see what I'm up to. If you've got a question, absolutely ask. But tomorrow night, I come back with Positive Perceptions, and we'll be here to deal with that. Okay, that'll be at 8 p.m. Pacific. Now, with that in mind, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Look forward to interacting with you down the road. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.